Hello, welcome back to Talkoffamepod podcast with your host, Kylie. And joining us on today's episode, she's the host of the RED podcast, singer, and founder of MBM Marketing, Michelle Barone. Thank you so much for joining. I'm super excited to chat with you.
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So how did you kind of keep the audience kind of engaged when you're hosting, doing hosting gigs?
Sure. So that's a great question. Honestly, I always like to read the person. So if I'm talking to someone and a certain thing particularly interests me in that person, then I think it'll be relatable to others. So I always ask what I think I would want to know. I've always been a conversationalist. My parents told me that when I started talking, I never stopped. So talking comes easy to me. And I think that just being relevant, knowing what's on trend and incorporating that in what you're discussing as well is helpful. And the content creators that I interview are typically relevant. So anything that they've recently posted is a topic of relevancy and fun and interest, especially if it's viral content. So I just always look at what they're doing to kind of create the content around what I ask and what I do.
Did you always ask questions when you're young? Because for me, I always been the shyest kid, and when I started doing journalism and stuff, I just never stopped asking questions. I just never stopped, even though when I'm not doing interviews, I still ask the questions. I'm always curious.
I'm always curious too. I like to find out what makes other people tick. And I like to find out what other people do and how they do it. And I definitely do have an interest in others. It's beyond the podcast. When I'm off camera, sometimes I ask more questions than when I'm on. So I always like to, I like to find out about other people. And I have a general interest in what other people are doing to make themselves successful. I think that's awesome and interesting.
For sure. Do you do tons of research before you do hosting gigs, or is it just I'm just gonna look at some things and I'll figure out the questions in my mind when I'm in it? Because
I
I know
usually
how
do.
some people are that way. They're oh, I just do a little research, and once time comes, I just figure out the questions as time when I'm in an interview.
Yeah, for me, I ask, I research a lot. I find out what the person's known for. I do my due diligence even prior to asking them to come on the show because I think it's important that they fit my target audience. And I want to make sure that the content they're creating is positive. I'm always about positivity and women supporting women and people supporting people and just good fun comedy or lifestyle or things that will provide value to people. So I always look at what they're doing and try my best to position myself and my brand that with their brand and something that aligns with me.
That's actually amazing because I know for some podcasts or even hosts, I know for some people they're always trying to target some specific people, even though they send out emails not knowing exactly kind of what they do or kind of what their kind of target audience is. They kind of just be oh, I need more guests, I have to send out emails or something like that.
Yeah, no, I don't. I always make sure I know the person. I've interacted with them in the past, and there's somebody that will provide value to my audience. I also think that being content creators and influencers, it's really important to get the best ones I can find that I think that people will relate to. I really do think it's all about relatability. We've all been in the situation where it's okay, what's the best moisturizer for your face? And if I know the influencer that can tell me, hey, I've tried these 20, but this one's the best, and mom's here's why you need it. That's the kind of person I want on the show to provide value. And not only for products, but for life things, for mom life, for business, for coaching, I interviewed a sports agent. He hasn't been aired yet. I'm about 20 episodes out right now, but he, was a great baseball player. His story was incredible. And then became an agent and rep Derek Jeter. I mean, that's huge. Those kinds of stories are, real. And I think that's what people want to hear. How did you do it? What made you do it? And how are you continuing to do it beyond Jeter, beyond the legacy that you built,
What person, what's his name? I'm kind of curious now because I'm such a big sports fan, so I'm really curious.
His name was Kyle Thousand.
Like how many like do you do like episodes weekly? Like do you air like episodes weekly, or is it kind of like multiple times a week? There's no specific air date for you.
I usually do episodes on Tuesdays. I do bonus episodes sometimes during holiday seasons or peak seasons, or if there's something that I really want to get the word out about because it's relevant to my guests' content. So I'm going to be pushing a bonus episode in a couple weeks about Miami Swim Week happening in June, just so we capitalize on the timing. And I have a client and a person who is very well versed in swimwear, who has their own designs, who's going to be on that show.
Ooh, that's amazing. And like with RED podcast, like you started that recently, right? Like this is kind of like a new kind of thing for you.
Yeah, I started it in January or December, actually, late December. Um, it was a concept I had for about a year, and iHeartMedia of the Hudson Valley has been so great, and they've been so supportive. And they said to me, "Listen, we've been planning this for a year. Just put it out already." So I did, and it's been great, super successful. Download numbers are up and great. We are definitely looking to get out there more and connect with other influencers. This weekend, I'm going to the Creator Conference, Cheer Choice Awards, which is huge. It's like the Grammys for content creators. So I know I'll meet some really wonderful people out there that I can interview and chat with. And I'll be doing the red carpet there. And that's my favorite thing to do, is host and do big events like that and just make people feel special. And that's what I like to do when I interview, make them feel comfortable and special, and just know that they have a safe place to discuss anything that they want, and in a fun way.
Like, is this like your first time there, or you've been there before?
It's first time there. I've done a lot of events over the years, but not this one particularly.
Ooh, like where's like is there like a whole day thing where you'd be hosting all day long? Is it kind of like, oh, this is the red carpet and because it's enjoying the event the rest of the night?
So depending on the event, this particular event will be a red carpet for an hour and a half, I believe. And then after that, we'll have some interviews going on backstage to interview the winners of the awards.
Ooh, so it's like kind of like a little kind of casual, not like really watching the show, but it's there for the interviews, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
But like for your podcast, like is it part of your company MBM Marketing, or is it something kind of like something you do really individually on your own side, not kind of part of your organization?
Sure. So it's interesting to ask that question. MBM is its own entity. It is a full service marketing agency. We do everything from digital, radio, TV, media buying. I've been doing marketing for 20 years, and um, in the Hudson Valley area, which is 2 hours north of Manhattan. This is kind of like my little gem here, our hidden gem in New York, and we do a lot of marketing here. We're well known here. What Where it correlates with the podcast is some of our customers sponsor the podcast. Some of our clients come on as guests or co-hosts. So there is a mix there, but it is two separate things.
Like it's like why did you kind of start it like your podcast in the first place? Like we can dive into your company in later on, but like why did you kind of overall kind of start your podcast? Like is it for like your guests, like to kind of share their stories? Like why did you like start it?
That is exactly why I wanted my guest content creators to have more than just a viral video, more than just a picture, more than just them saying what they want to say on their Instagram story. I wanted them to get their full story out, who they are, what they did, what drove them, who's influential in their lives, play a game that's fun, do something interesting. For me, it was about sharing their story because their story is impactful. Other people want to do what they're doing. So the
Mm.
more that we can get that word out, the better, for others, and anyone that listens to them or is interested in them would want to learn more about them as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's like the reason why I started my podcast is that like people often see people on social media not knowing kind of exactly who they are, who kind of what they do, and like oftentimes people will be like, oh my God, I want to be like them, but they don't know how. So that's like why podcasters are like a thing, because like of course we want to talk and meet them and kind of build connection to them and basically learn more about what they do, but like the audience will take out more of the person in like the episode that we're doing rather than the host, who's all like the host is doing is really interviewing them. But like obviously when guests listen to the episode, no matter if it's like 30 minutes, an hour, or 45 minutes, or however long you like to do the episodes, like they will take out more than we generally take out of. Even though we take out so much from the episode, they will take out so much, even though like they're trying to look for a career field to go, like they will kind of take out from the person that like is doing amazing things and kind of learn how to get in that field and how basically they started and everything they do.
Yeah, absolutely. And providing value to their audience, because at the end of the day, we all need help with something. No one's perfect at everything. So if we can provide value to other people, I think that's a great way to share information. And that was another reason I started my podcast. I knew this 19-year-old kid, Stone Fredrickson, and I call him a kid, but he's really a pioneer. I mean, he's incredible. He started on TikTok during COVID, and he was a high schooler and decided to make the conscious decision not to go to college because he thought he could do better without it. And I commend him for making his own choices and sticking to it and being relevant and consistent. And it takes a set to do that. That doesn't just happen. And those are the kinds of stories that I want to share, because that guy's brave and he's making it happen. And he's young, and that's what we have in today's world are these young, ambitious, hungry individuals who are super savvy, that know how to really work the algorithms, the social and digital. And no one was telling that story, so that's why I did it.
Like that's actually amazing because like not a lot of kids, especially like Gen Z kids. Like I'm only 16 years old. Like not a lot of people are like doing amazing things each day. Like
Right.
not a lot of people are really chasing out their dreams or making kind of like a change. Like that kid is like not going to college. We see things he'll get after. Like that's actually amazing because like not a lot of kids will chase out their dreams each day or kind of
Yeah, and
work
look at
hard to go
you,
for their dreams and
16
stuff like that.
16 years old, girl. You're killing it. Keep going.
Thanks so much. And like, like what type of people do you generally kind of showcase on your podcast? Is it always kind of like one specific career field, or do you do like things like all over, like entertainment, sports, like influencers, like etc.?
Sure. So I do content creators, influencers, and celebrities. So if you create content and have a really cool following and you showcase lifestyle, beauty, I'll feature you. If you do really different types of music, any type, rock, rap, it doesn't matter. And, you got a buzz going, and, we met at the Grammys, let's say, that's the type of person that I would feature. I feature people that are relevant, entertaining, and dynamic. And that's exactly why I named the show Red.
Like whoever is like doing amazing things, like okay, well I
Yep.
have you on. Like even though you're like kind of like a low person that no one at all, let's have you come on. Like the best thing to do is basically showcase your work. The more like more things you do, the more things you can showcase.
Exactly.
And like you sing the theme song of your podcast called Find a Way. Like why did you kind of use it like Find a Way to like as a theme song for your show?
I love that question. I've been singing forever, since I was 5, and I've been recording for the last 25 years, if not longer. And music's always been a huge, huge, huge part of my life. When in my early 20s, I opened for a lot of big artists, and I did backup. I had backup dancers, artists like NEYO. I mean, I could name a ton. Winter Gordon, anyone that was popular on Top 40 radio at that time, I pretty much opened for, met, or hung out with at some point. Um, and I did it because I really, I had what it took. I love to sing. I love recording. I love performing. I had a manager who was awesome, who's passed since COVID, which is terrible. But I wanted to make sure that my message was clear, that as a content creator, as an influencer, and as an artist, you can find a way to get to what you want. And as long as you don't give up, as long as you believe in yourself, you will find a way. You'll find your people. You'll find a way. You'll find the people that will help you get there. And this show is all about believing in yourself, going viral, how you did it, why you did it, What made you successful? It's about showing your path, telling me the trials and tribulations, the challenges you had, you know, getting down on it, the boyfriends that cheated, the liars, all of that stuff. That's what this is. I want to know so that others can learn from you, make better choices, and do the best they can to create the best content they can.
That's exactly right. Because like even though like people make mistakes, like sometimes horrible mistakes, like the listeners, no matter how old you are, teenagers, adult, like no matter how old you are, like they'll learn from those mistakes, even though they didn't make those mistakes. They will like really kind of learn from like what like the person has gotten in trouble for or made a mistake. Like even though the person made a mistake, it's something you can like do better in the future, no matter if like you're a teenager or what. Like there's always things to learn for, no matter if there's a mistakes or a career field or whatever it is, like you're learning from everything, even though you might know it or not, you're still learning no matter how old you are.
Exactly. And I just want people to know that they can achieve their dream. I watch Steve Harvey a lot, and he's
Oh
a
yeah.
very motivational person right on TikTok. And I watch all these motivational speakers speak. And the one thing that they always say is just dream bigger than you can dream, keep imagining, be consistent, and go after it. And that's what that song is about. And that's exactly what these people do that I interview. They go after what they think is either funny, relatable, relevant, entertaining, interesting, ridiculous, whatever it is. They believe in themselves enough and have the confidence to do it. And that's why I like to feature them.
And like as you mentioned a bit ago, like you performed in front of thousands of people and opened for some of the world's greatest artists back then, like NEYO, Chris Walls, TKA, and so much, name a few. Like, do you think performing for these artists has kind of gained you kind of more opportunities per se as an artist?
Absolutely. I think for me, it really opened my eyes up to the world and how creative it is, and how many different people there are. Each show had a totally different audience, but had the same awesome vibe. Some shows, there's a couple thousand people there, and the place is jumping, and you're sweating, and the vibe is so good you don't want to get off stage. Some
Mm-hmm.
shows are more intimate, and you feel like you can connect one to one with people. Every show had their own unique story, but I think what it helped with was confidence and being the best I can be, and knowing that we're all human, everybody on stage or off, and that everyone has a goal or a purpose or a reason to be here. And it's super important for people to understand their purpose. It doesn't have to happen in a day. Take your time and figure it out. And once you do, live it. You can have it, you can own it, and don't let anybody bring you down or judge you so that you don't live your purpose. Find your way and make it happen.
Like no matter like how long it takes, it might take a day, weeks, months, years. Like no matter how long it took, like it takes. I know, like for me, getting myself out there, it took like 14 years to do that. Like it literally takes so much time that like no matter how long it takes, like you will get there no matter what, even though it might take forever. Like of course I feel that way all the time in terms the goals I want to achieve or how I want to do things. It might take forever, and that's okay because like living your life and setting your goals and achieving them takes time. Like it doesn't happen overnight.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It does take time. And sometimes it's not your timeline, right? It's the
Mm-hmm.
universe, it's God, it's whatever you believe in. But it's definitely on someone else's time. But if you're consistent, it'll happen.
For sure. Like, do you still do performing concerts and stuff now, or is it kind of like you just sit and pass and like, oh, I think I should focus on other things and performing?
Right now, my day to day is a marketing business. We service a bunch of clients, medium to large businesses, and we love doing that. So I do that every day on a daily basis, as well as the podcast. And then when it comes to uh, singing, yes, I'll still perform the anthem here and there at different events. I go to the Hudson Valley Renegades a lot now, the Heritage Stadium there, and I do perform still, not as much as I used to. I used to do 5 shows a weekend. Now
Mhm.
I'm probably 10 or 15 a year, so much less, but music will always be a part of my life. Yes.
Hmm. Like of course, like things like dynamic change as time goes on. You bring so much things and making so much content that it's like, oh, I can't make as much as I used to, you know.
Exactly.
And like as you kind of mentioned as time went on, you're the founder of MGM Marketing. Like, can you tell us kind of more about that and why you started it?
Sure. So MBM Marketing is a full service marketing agency. Like I said, we do social, digital, radio, TV. We're kind of like an outsourced CMO, which I think is really cool. I worked for a bank for 6 years and ran their marketing department. And during that time, I found that I really wanted um, a solution for one vendor. What happened with me was I'd have a vendor for marketing, for PR, vendor for billboard, vendor for radio, a vendor for every aspect of marketing, totaling up to 76 vendors a year. I mean, it was insane. So I said, I want to be the solution so people and businesses only have one point person that can negotiate contracts, understands what it takes to get the job done, and to promote one campaign so that each outlet promotes the same thing and so that your brand has continuity in all the efforts that you put forth. So that's what I do. Um, and at MBM, and I founded it because I needed a solution. And I knew that the solution was to truly be that one resource that knew the answer for anything marketing.
For sure. Do you think like with being like being kind of working in marketing before you start a company, you guys kind of helped you kind of get like your knowledge about marketing, or it's kind of like totally different kind than what you expected? Because I know like for some POS organizations, they kind of like think it's gonna be perfect, but then it's like the total opposite of what you imagine.
I went to college for marketing. My sister did marketing. She did a totally different type of marketing. When I first got into it at school, I didn't even know really what it was. I just thought it was like a label on a product. I had no idea. But as I learned more and more and more, and I saw the promotional aspect, I loved it. It was totally me. I learned how to really promote different products, new venues, um, big business, take a business from a few $100 million to $1 billion, looking at the big picture, creating a strategy, marketing planning, strategic consulting. Those are the things that make me tick and that I know that can really benefit organizations.
Like how does like MGM marketing help companies or marketing in general? Like how do you guys kind of approach your organizations or people in terms of marketing and helping them out?
Sure. So, first thing we do is a discovery session where we pick the brains of the owners or founders or people that run the business or the brand, and we'll come up with their 5 to 10 goals. Once we know their goals, we create a marketing plan to support those goals for the next 12 months. Then we take it from the discovery phase, create the plan, and we implement the plan. Once that process takes about 30 days, once we start implementation, it's another year's worth of efforts from social to digital to radio to TV and more and more. It could be way more than that. I mean, sometimes it's granular, like handing out flyers. That's still a very viable way of getting the word out. Sometimes it's email blasts and WhatsApp blasts and different forms of geofencing and digital marketing that are unique to that particular target audience. Um, for us, it's understanding the goals, creating a plan to support them, and then measuring based on sales after once the plan is in motion and the year or 6 month is up. We usually do a month check-in. So at the end of every month, we send a return on investment so that you can see kind of where we are to where we are targeting and where we actually hit. So
Like do
forecast
you
versus actual.
like do you guys usually do like a 1 year, 6 month plans, or do you guys usually just do it longer than like the 1 year, 6 month plan?
Usually 12 months. Yep, a year.
Like how does kind of like that work? Like how does how do you guys decide usually on plans like with different companies?
Sure. It depends on their goals. So if a company gives me 5 goals, like say a company said to me, I want to get I'll just use a restaurant because it's easy and everyone can relate to this. I want to get 100 people in here at lunch. Right now I'm getting 50 people in. We'd create a campaign to drive more people to your lunch. We've created a campaign so that more people heard it, knew it was available, and came in to dine.
That sounds like easy peasy to me. Like that seems like this easy peasy, easy and done.
Yeah, I mean, it is until if you get the numbers, but you have to have the right messaging, the right media mix. You have to know the right target audience. All of it has to align. And then once that happens and you really hit it with marketing, then yes, it's easier than people think.
Like, how do you like stay on top of like all the marketing trends going on in today's world?
TikTok, baby.
Oh yeah,
TikTok
TikTok's the
is the
key.
trend. I also surround myself with younger people that just know what's going on. We have an amazing content creator that works for MBM, and she's just a dynamo. So she knows every new song, every new trend. She's always posting stuff on her TikTok. So we look at that. We do market research. We look at other competitors, what they're doing. So lots of different ways.
Like I like TikTok's literally the key to everything. Even though it's been around for years, like during the pandemic, it really became kind of like the key kind of content creation in general.
Exactly. Yep.
And like the last thing I have for you, depending on time, is like what is some advice for upcoming founders and hosts that are just starting out?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that one?
Yeah, of course. Like what is some advice for like upcoming founders or hosts that are just like kind of starting out in this business?
Sure. So I'll start with founders. If you're looking to start a business, know your numbers. It's super important. When I first started my business, I had no idea what a P&L was. I didn't know how to read a statement. And when I was in my early 20s, I made a lot of mistakes. But because of that, I became a great business person. Now I understand exactly what I'm looking at. I have hope that things, you always have to believe and foresee the future in a way so that you can predict where you're headed. That's very important.
Mm-hmm.
If I one piece of advice with someone who's looking to start a business, do research, know your numbers, understand what you're getting into, and have a plan.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go so far into a plan that you don't get started. Get started. Make sure you get started. Don't take forever to get started. Get a plan together, put your thoughts on paper, and get started.
Like, don't let anything stop you. Don't let anything stop you, no matter what. Like, it's always self-doubt that stops you, like from my
Right.
experience.
Exactly. Just do it. Nike's slogan is the best because it's
Mhm.
real. And you know what? Whether you're an athlete or whatever you are, just do it. Make it happen. It's easier than you think if you just do it. The other thing I would say for a podcaster or a host, identify what you want to host. Is it shows? Is it red carpets? Is it a podcast? Is it radio? And then go after it. Just do it.
Just do it. It's always a goal. Like, to figure out like what you want to do, and just do it. Like, it can be hard, definitely, but then like it's all about the journey. It's all about you starting out. It can be hard. I've been doing this for 2 years and oh well, about 2 years in a couple of weeks, but it's just like it does get easier, but it's definitely hard. It does get hard. Like no, in some situations, no matter how long you've been doing this, I've been doing this for 2 years, and it still is hard. No matter how long I've been doing this, it's always hard, no matter what. But it does get easier.
Yep. And you know what? You're gonna find a new challenge, and it's gonna be hard to do that too. And every time, every phase of life is hard. When a toddler learns how to walk, it's hard to learn how to walk. To us, we do it every day. It's easy now. But once you get it in motion, get the ball rolling, and things start to work, it becomes easier and easier and easier. And it still might be hard, but it's worth it if it's something you truly want. So if you can figure out what you want, that's the key to it all. Figuring out exactly what you want and then knowing that that's with beyond a doubt what you want. And then you hit it hard and go after it.
For sure. That's amazing. And like I just want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. You mean so much. You're amazing. And I really
You too.
appreciate you taking the time to come on. I really appreciate it. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much, Kylie, for having me. Thank you.
Of course. Have a great rest of your day, Michelle.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.